this still does not feel real to me, but as of yesterday, the Sims team has officially confirmed that we're going to be able to build our own apartments in The Sims 4. And not just apartments, but like any sort of multi-family residential lot. So like townhouses, duplexes, maybe even like a basement unit. So essentially this new pack is the ability to have more than one Sim family living on the same lot. And if you've been following my channel for a long time, you'll know that this is like my #1 top request for The Sims ever. Anytime I build an apartment in The Sims, I'll complain about how I can't edit them and how I wish I could build my own. I am constantly building fake apartment buildings and fake townhouses, and I have been doing that for years. In fact, a few weeks ago, I built a big, giant fake townhouse lot that I just haven't posted on YouTube yet because I kept posting Halloween builds. So I think today we can build these townhouses together, and I'll talk a little bit more about my thoughts on this pack and why I am so excited about it. So let's just jump straight into it because this is a big build. It's actually technically 5 houses all attached together, and each of those 5 houses has 3 stories. All 5 of them have a basement and then 2 floors above ground, and they've all got 2 or 3 bedrooms depending on how I furnish them. Now, I can already anticipate all the comments that are like, Lil Simsie, you knew about this, that's why you built this. And I know you're gonna say that because my Twitch chat all said that like a month ago when I was building this on stream. So let's address it. Let's discuss. Now, to be completely and brutally honest with you, this is the first expansion pack out of the last 3 that I did not know about in advance. I did the builds for Growing Together, so obviously I knew about that because I was playing it early to make the builds that it was going to come with. And then because I was playing packs early, they actually did tell me about horses a little bit in advance, so I knew about those, but I hadn't seen them. This pack, they did not tell me a word about. This one, I really and truly was surprised by. I know that nobody wants to believe me when I say that, and I get it, but like everybody thinks I know more about The Sims than I do. Truthfully, it's actually kind of rare that I get told about packs in advance. I happen to get told about these last 2 expansion packs, but like the stuff packs, the game packs, they never tell me about those. And previous expansions before these past couple this year, I didn't know about those either. So I'm not really as in the know about packs as people tend to think. They don't even tell me about updates. Like they don't really tell me about much at all. It's really rare that they do. But like once it happens once, people remember it and then it becomes like Simsie knows everything, even if she doesn't. And I get that. I get that. So anyway, I didn't build this because I knew there was going to be an apartment pack coming. I built this because everybody was guessing there was going to be an apartment pack coming. So we were all talking about it and getting kind of excited about the thought. When they teased this expansion pack, when was it? Like a month or 2 ago? I kind of forget the timeline, to be honest. The past few months have all been a blur. But they posted that quarterly teaser and they called it a neighborly expansion pack. So everybody was kind of like, neighborly? Do you think it's going to be apartments? Because everyone's been desperately begging for apartments for years now. And when they called it neighborly, like what else is there to go off of from that? So we were all kind of like crossing our fingers and hoping, which sort of inspired a lot of folks to do some builds with stuff like this. Hence why I built this. But just so we're clear, there was no like early information. I wasn't like leaking or hinting. I was just as excited as everybody else was. Every single person on Twitter and I all had the exact same reaction to that teaser. But I must say, I don't really know if I ever really truly expected it to be an apartment pack. I had my hopes up and I was kind of dreaming a little bit, but I don't know if I really thought they would ever actually do it. I've been saying I want this apartment pack ever since City Living came out. I've been like, please, can we build our own apartments? For years, even pre-City Living with just the base game, I have been wanting to build apartments in The Sims 4 since like day 1 of The Sims 4. But then when City Living came out and we didn't get the ability to build apartments, I was like, oh no, maybe we won't ever be able to build apartments. Like it kind of ruined my dreams a little bit there. But I sort of felt that way about like a baby update. When we got the toddlers, I was like, oh, we're never gonna get babies too. Like they're not gonna do both of them. And then they did. So maybe my thoughts are just wrong. Maybe I'm just like too cynical, I guess. Because I always assume the worst, that we're not gonna get all these things. But I have thought for years that we would never get a real apartment building pack. So I've spent the last like 8 or 9 years building fake apartments. Like in my legacy challenges, I keep playing in fake apartment buildings. 2 years ago, I played Not So Berry in a fake apartment. I have a fake townhouse right now with my new legacy challenge. This pack is like really and truly a dream come true for me. I have like relentlessly complained about this for so long. I felt like I was never gonna shut up. Now they've finally given it to us. I have like relentlessly complained about this for so long. I would never shut up about this, and now they've finally given it to us. I think I'm gonna play with this always. Like when I think about how my Sims are gonna live from now on, I'm like always gonna live in apartments. If I can build my own apartment, I'm always gonna live in my own apartment. Like this is just perfect. It's a complete game changer. Obviously, we haven't actually seen the pack yet. We're just going off of trailers, but I have really high expectations. I'm really excited. But I should stop ranting for a second and actually talk about the build, because at this point in the video, we have a real build that's sort of come together now, so we actually have stuff to talk about. So what you're seeing here is a series of little pastel townhouses that I've built. These are kind of weird in the sense that they're very flat. They're just like little tiny cubes, and they're very small as well. Really, really small, skinny, short townhouses. These are kind of inspired by a lot of the row homes that I've seen in the UK. Dan used to live in a house when he was in college in Portsmouth that was kind of like this. It just wasn't as cute because it wasn't like pretty and pastel, but it was similar in style, how it was just like one big flat wall of different houses all attached. And I am just obsessed with that kind of house. I think they're so cute. And so I wanted to try and recreate something similar to that here, where like all the houses were very, very similar on the outside, like same windows, same shape, same style, but they kind of had a little bit of individual personality in like the painting on the exterior and the flower boxes and their landscaping. I actually struggled a lot with the exterior of this though, because I was trying really hard to make it look realistic and make it make sense and like try and make it fit on the lot, because the lot is really small. And then the other problem is that I had to build this lot backwards. I don't know if you can tell, but we're on the 40 by 20 lot that came with San Sequoia. It's like right near where the rec center is. It's usually an empty lot, but I'm building on it here because it kind of fit really well. Like the big, long, skinny 40 by 20 was the perfect size for this. But the issue is on the other side of the lot, the lighting is terrible. I usually like to build in The Sims on lots where the lighting is sort of face on from the sun, because sometimes when you're building and the sun is behind the building, it makes the whole house in shadows and then it's really hard to build. So I had to flip the lot around and I'm building it backwards right now. I do end up flipping it back to put it on the gallery, but for most of this video, I build the lot backwards. It's not as upsetting here on this lot because there's like a road on this side too, but sometimes I do this in like Willow Creek. The lot where the Spencer Kim Lewis family lives also has bad lighting, and so when I build there and I build the lot backwards, it's like the front of the house is just in the middle of the backyard in the grass. So it looks a little bit more weird. This makes sense. Like if I didn't point it out to you, you may not have noticed that it was backwards. But right now what I'm trying to do is figure out the porch situation and the basement situation. So you can kind of see that each of these houses have like a little hole in the front yard, and they're cute. They've got like a slight overhang, and then there's like a little basement doorway down there. And the reason I did that is to have some real natural lighting in those basements, because these houses are so small. There's not a lot of room in there for like big bedrooms and like extra living spaces, so we have to rely a lot on the basement for that, and it would be nice to have some natural lighting in those basements. So I put these weird holes in the front, which might seem strange, but actually happens pretty often in real life. Even my grandparents' house has that. Like their basement has a sliding glass door into it that just goes into like a little concrete box basically, where it looks a lot like this, to be honest, but there is a staircase from their basement to go up to the backyard. That sounds a lot fancier than it is, but they live in like a little ranch house in Illinois, and they have a basement with this kind of thing. Maybe it's not fancy. It's just, to me, it's fancy because I'm in Florida and we have no basements here. So to me, this is like really cool and fancy, but it's kind of a nice touch. They can't exit the house though. They're just stuck down there, but at least they have some lighting. And then I put like some bike storage and like some little things like that down there. They don't really have a lot of yard space either. They each have a tiny, tiny, tiny little front courtyard. And you'll see that I actually have some fake walls. Those are debug walls that are kind of coming off the lot. It might be a bit strange, but they fit that way, so I didn't really care and I kept them anyway. And then each of these houses also has an actual backyard, like a tiny little, it's more of a courtyard than a backyard, but each house does have its own outdoor space. And as per usual, I spent about the same amount of time building the exterior on this, if not longer than I did on the interior, which is wild because there's a lot more interior space than exterior space in this house. But for me, like the exterior kind of involves figuring out the vibes. And so it takes a lot longer to do, and the interior kind of comes together a bit quicker. And also, I did not furnish every single one of these townhouses. I was trying to think about what would be most useful for you all in gameplay, because bear in mind, when I built this, we did not have news about the apartment pack, right? Like this was just me daydreaming and playing pretend in The Sims. And so if you wanted to actually play here in this lot for now, and also up until December, this is a regular single family home. It like one person, one family owns this entire giant lot of 5 houses. And so So paying for furniture in all 5 when you're just living in one is kind of ridiculous. Plus then your bills are like ridiculously exorbitantly expensive. So it's just not practical to do that. Like if I was gonna play here, I would delete the furniture in the other houses just because that way my game's not laggy and we can actually afford to pay the bills. Or maybe I'd live in one and one next door and have like my sim live here and my sim's brother live next door, and then we play with like all the sims in one household but pretend that they're in 2. But even then I would still delete the furniture in 3 out of 5 of the houses. It's very rare that I would play in multiple of these. There's just not enough space in your Sims households. There's 5 houses here that have space for 3 or 4 Sims in each of them, and you can only have 8 Sims at once. So maybe max I'd play with 3. And so for that reason, I furnished 3 of these houses completely, and the other 2 I sort of decorated. Like one of them is being moved into right now. So there's like some random furniture, like the big mattress from the basement kit and like some boxes everywhere as if somebody is actively moving in. And then one of them is completely empty as if it's available for rent, which saying now out loud is funny because the pack is called For Rent, but one of them is empty. So if you wanted to come play here, I guess you could like decorate that one for yourself. Or I mean, you could just delete the furniture on the ones you're not going to use and then that one's just already empty for you. I'm so curious how the new rental lots are going to work because I'm wondering if it's going to be easy to renovate this into a functional rental lot. Because how I'm assuming it's going to work is that you could just change the lot type from regular residential to a rental residential. And then I assume that there's like some system to define like which spaces are which unit. I don't really know how that's gonna work, but in the trailer, they showed this image where like 2 units were next to each other and they were each outlined different colors. There was like a pink one and a blue one. So I'm guessing that when I play with the pack, I could just set each of these to be their own unit. But like, what's the max number? Can you only have 3? Can you only have 2? Can you have 4? Can you have 5? Like, I'm just really curious how that's gonna work. It sounds like they can be multi-story, which they better be able to be, because all they showed in the trailer were apartments where it was like a single story unit. But then they talked about in the description and in like the blog post building townhouses and duplexes, and townhouses are typically multiple stories. So you must be able to make multi-story units. They just haven't shown it yet. There's a lot of guesswork happening right now with this pack. We're all just guessing and really excited, but kind of nervous, and I don't know what to expect. I am so unbelievably excited for this pack. And the worst part is I built this like a month ago before I even knew about the pack, and I still was this excited to want to build this kind of thing. But now the pack is confirmed and all I want to do is build this kind of thing. But like, I've already built this. How many townhouses am I gonna make? I really shouldn't make multiple fake townhouses. That would be dumb. I need to like contain myself and wait until the pack comes out, because otherwise we're gonna be sat here making fake townhouses for a month and then making real townhouses for a month, and we're just never gonna stop. So I need to calm down. But anyway, we have moved on now to the backyards, and you can kind of see I was working on like a little gardening themed one right here. I tried to make all 5 of the backyards very different. I used like different pavements and different landscaping because I wanted there to be a lot of individuality in each of these houses despite them being like the exact same shape. And even beyond that, I tried to make all the floor plans different, which I don't know if that's the most realistic thing. Considering each house is like a little clone of the next, it probably would make more sense to have them all have the same floor plan, but that's just not as fun. So I tried to have it be different in each one. Some have extra bedrooms, some made like the basement into an extra living room. A few of them have more bathrooms than the other. So I just tried to make them all a bit different inside, and we're starting with my favorite one, which is the pink one. I was kind of picturing the pink one belonging to like some grandma who's raising her grandkids, and so she has a room upstairs, her grandchild has a room upstairs, and then the teens got a room in the basement. My Twitch chat was all joking about how we should try and add in stuff for the teen to sneak out from the basement, but I just couldn't fit the ladder in. I did try to make it work, but it wasn't working anywhere because I have too much landscaping out there. But we can pretend that that's the story. We can pretend the teen sneaks out from the basement. But otherwise, in this house, we've got like a tiny half bathroom downstairs, a full bathroom upstairs, and also a laundry room in the basement, which, saying all that, is kind of impressive given how small this place is. We managed to fit in a lot of things in a very, very tight space. You know, grandparents seem to be the theme of today's video. I'm mentioning my grandparents. This Sim's a grandparent. When you're seeing this, I'm actually flying up to Illinois to see my grandparents. And can I just say, thank you to the Sims team for not posting the trailer on a day when I am out of town. Because to be completely truthful with you, I was trying to like big brain figure out when the trailer would be so I could tell my mom when it was okay to book flights to see my grandparents. We're like celebrating Thanksgiving and Christmas there really early in like the first weekend of November this year. And my mom was asking like, when can we go? When should I book the flights for? And I was like, okay, we know there's a 3rd expansion pack coming, because at this point they had teased it. And I was like, if I were them and I was going to release the expansion pack. I would release it at the end of November. So I sort of guessed we'd get a trailer last week because that would be a full month in advance. And then when it didn't come out last week, I was like, oh, maybe it'll be like next week, not this week. And so it was kind of a surprise when it came out this week because I literally had written down in my upload schedule, trailer ? For next Thursday. I always do this. I put in my schedule, like when I guess things are gonna happen, I put like trailer ? Or like update ? Most of the time it's wrong, clearly, as we have learned, but it just helps me to like plan out for these things for when I expect them or maybe guess that they will happen. So anyway, long story short, I told my mom, oh, it's okay, we can go the first weekend of November because I don't think the pack's gonna come out then, and I don't think the trailer's gonna come out then, and then it did. But thankfully, I'm flying on Friday and not on Thursday, so it's fine. Because the last time we got an expansion pack, the trailer came out the day that I flew to VidCon. So I had to make my horse ranch reaction from a hotel in California on the day of VidCon. And then I had to do a meet and greet that day, which was actually really scary. That was a long day. I left the house at like 4 a.m., flew to California, filmed a trailer reaction, and then uploaded said trailer reaction, and then went to VidCon, got my badge, and then did a meet and greet, and then very promptly got back to my hotel and fell asleep. Because at that point, it was like 10 p.m. when I got home in California time, which is 3 hours behind me here in Florida. So it was like 1 a.m. and I was finally going to bed. Oh my God, it was a long day. But it's okay. This trailer was very kind and released yesterday and not today when I'm going to my grandparents' house. That would have actually been really bad because my grandparents' house, their internet is so bad. I would not have been able to upload the video there. It just wouldn't have happened. I would have had to like leave the house and go somewhere to like a coffee shop to upload it. And even like trying to watch the trailer on YouTube, I seriously believe it'd be buffering. Like I'd be on my laptop trying to watch and it would just not be working. Like it would have been really bad, but it's fine. It's fine. Oh, and you know what? One other tiny thing that I'm grateful for with the Sims team, the pack is releasing a few days before my kittens get spayed and neutered. Their surgery is scheduled for the 11th of December, which I was really hoping was gonna be fine because usually packs don't come out on Mondays. So like I was thinking that'll be totally fine and hopefully it comes out like the week after or the week before, so it's okay. And thank God the pack is gonna be out before then. It isn't that big of a deal, but like obviously during release week of Sims packs, I'm gonna get early access and I'm gonna have to record a bunch of stuff and like I'm gonna just be really busy during the release week. And so I was really hoping that my kittens would not have to go to surgery during that because I'm gonna want to take care of them and like bring them to the vet, and I'm gonna be all stressed because I just know I am an anxious mess. So anyway, thank you to the Sims team for not releasing a pack on that day. It feels like all the packs recently have come out when I am really busy. The timeline of this is relieving. You think back to the past few, I'm not joking about this by the way, Cottage Living came out when Dan moved to America. After he finally got his visa, after years of waiting, Cottage Living came out, like the week that he was moving. Before that, Eco Lifestyle came out right at the end of my final semester of college when I was graduating. I mean, like it's just the timing, you know? And that was back when there was just one pack a year, so it was less likely to happen, and it still did. We always joke about this on my channel, how like the Sims team finds out when I'm busy, and that's when the pack is gonna come out, which I'm thankful for because I'm really excited about this one. I actually cannot wait for this. I've been thinking about it nonstop since the trailer dropped. I'm pre-recording right now, and I've been planning on posting this video like this whole time for weeks. I was like, okay, I'm gonna post this the first weekend after Halloween. That was always the plan. Completely unrelated to the trailer. And I'm really glad that I didn't record this before the trailer dropped because I think that this video is more fun when we're talking about the trailer and not about random things. But anyway, we are almost done with this first house now. I clearly spent the most time on this little pink house. There's like grandma's room. She's got like a little craft table. We've got the kids' room upstairs. And then in the basement, we have that really cute teens room that I was talking about earlier. I really liked doing this build because I felt like I got to use a lot of stuff that I don't normally go for. Like I pretty often forget about that craft table. The Nifty Knitting Pack has a lot of really cute stuff. And so I use that stuff a lot around here inside this house. And I'll let you in on a little joke reference from my Twitch streams, but I put up those pictures, those like framed photographs on top of the wall above the bed. And we were joking about how like, oh, that's grandma and grandpa. And then chat was like, oh, where's grandpa? Cause you said that like just grandma lives here. And then I was like, oh, yeah, Grandpa's super dead. That was kind of the joke that got made. And then I realized, ooh, that's kind of like, that's a lot. That's a really mean way of describing it. And then now my Twitch chat keeps referencing super dead. Like something will happen and they'll be like, oh, yeah, your Sims dog that just died, super dead. So it's not that funny. The reference isn't that funny. You had to be there, but I just wanted to let you know. So in case you come by my Twitch streams, you're not going to be totally lost if that comes up. I do, by the way, stream every day on Twitch, except not this weekend. This is a terrible time to plug this. I'm going to my grandparents' house. I just talked about how bad the internet is there. So I'm not live on Twitch this weekend, but all of the other times, all of the other days, I am live on Twitch. And we do a lot of Sims there. We built this live on Twitch. We do a lot of building and gameplay. I just got done with a lot of Vampire Rags to Riches stuff for Halloween. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, we have a lot of fun over there. And I'm like this close to 800,000 followers on Twitch. And not to be weird about the numbers and stuff, but like it's kind of cool. So if you want to follow me there, you can check the link down below. Oh my goodness, this speed build is long. I'm like running out of things to talk about. Anyway, this last room in this tiny house is that teens room. And I tried to go for like a black and purple color scheme in here. I put like some fancy lights on the wall and like a gamer table in the basement. I really love this room. I thought it was kind of fun to build. It's not really my personal style. I don't really know about this swatch of the carpet either. I want to like it. I love the like shag carpet vibe idea, but the problem with it is that in The Sims, any flooring, like the outdoor floorings, any of the floor tiles, they just look kind of off because they're so flat. It's like almost impossible to use them. Like the idea of this fluffy carpet makes so much sense and it's so cute, but then you actually put it in here and it's like a picture of fluffy carpet. And it's not ideal. So I kind of struggled to use it, but I did use that here. It's from the Pastel Pop Kit and it's got a lot of cute swatches. I used this black one for the first time ever here in this build and then kind of filled in a lot of other little decor items. And while we're down here, I'm just kind of thinking more about the apartments pack and I had an idea because you know how in the trailer they showed off a Sim breaking into someone else's apartment to snoop, and it made me start thinking about like traveling between the apartments. So I'm curious to get some of your thoughts on this in the comments. So say like you're playing in one of these new apartments in the new pack that you've built and there's like 3 units in the building and you live in one, you've got a next door neighbor and an upstairs neighbor. If I wanted to go to my upstairs neighbor's house, do I need to go through a loading screen to travel there? Because in The Sims 4 in City Living, if you wanted to swap between apartments, you do have to use a loading screen to get to like the next door neighbor's one. But I'm wondering if, because these are like on a lot and they're all technically the same lot, do you need to reload the whole thing or does it load them all already when you come in? I'm just really curious to see how it's gonna work and like what's it gonna look like when you're playing in one apartment? Will the next door one be like blacked out like how it was in The Sims 3? I'm so interested to see how it's gonna work. As like a massive Sims fan and like a massive Sims nerd, I get really curious about those sorts of things. I love the behind the scenes and like learning about how it works behind the scenes and discussing the behind the scenes. So yeah, I'm kind of interested on the loading screen front because I wouldn't be surprised if there was a loading screen to get between them, but also because it's on the same lot, maybe it's not a loading screen. I don't want to get my hopes up about that because it's never good to expect no loading screens in The Sims 4. In The Sims 4, your best bet is to always expect loading screens. We need to be prepared for the worst. So it's not even good to think about that possibility, but maybe it is possible. I don't know. Anyway, sorry about the quick detour. I just had that thought in my mind, so I wanted to discuss it. But now we're in the next unit. This one is sort of like a younger couple. I'm picturing like a younger couple. 2 women live here. They don't have any kids, but they do have some pets. And you can see it's a totally different layout. They have like a small little dining room in the entryway and like a weird galley kitchen, hallway kitchen. There's 1 bathroom downstairs. And then they have like a small sitting room office space in the back. And that's because in the basement, I put a bigger TV room. I liked the idea of a big living room hangout space down there, and then I put like a bar, and they've got a big movie screen and a popcorn maker and like all kinds of cute things like that in the basement. And their floor plan is totally different because they have a sort of switchback staircase right in the front door and then a basement staircase over to the side, whereas in the first house I stacked the 2 staircases so they take up less space. It would have made more sense to stack them here, but I was just trying to think about something different. You know, I was trying to branch out a little bit and try a different shape, sort of. It's a really different style too, because it's a bit more modern. It's like, well, it's not modern, it's just more contemporary. And the color scheme's a bit more modern too. It's not like as old school grandma's house in here, which I think helps because there is a pretty stark difference between the two buildings. And you might have noticed, but I sort of kept the color scheme from the exterior and brought it into the interior because the outside of this one is orange, the first one outside is pink. So I kind of tried to match the exteriors with the color schemes, and everything is just very pastel and beautiful. Now upstairs in this room, they only have the one bedroom and the one bathroom up there. It's not like a 2-bedroom house. They don't have any kids or anything. And the hallway is really tight because it's just like the one tile wide, but I don't think it's a bad thing. You can still get around there. And I must warn you in advance because the video is not quite done, but the speed build section only has a few minutes left. So I'll tell you now, I did not include footage of me furnishing every single one of these rooms. I will show you a tour at the end of the video, but I didn't include the footage of all of them because it was so long. This took me multiple days to build, and if I would have tried to speed up like all of the footage, it'd be like an hour-long speed build. And that's fun, but also I don't know if I can talk that long. I can talk a lot. I'm good at that, but that's even a bit much for me, okay? So I kind of cut it down a little bit and trimmed it. It's kind of funny how much faster I built this apartment than I did the one next door, right? Though, because it's almost done already, and it's taken me like no time at all compared to the first one. I was being a bit pickier, and also I was quite distracted talking to chat with the first one. So I think that's normal though. Sometimes you gotta find your footing with your Sims builds, and then once you've got the idea of how it's gonna go, everything kind of comes together faster. I'm so curious how long it's gonna take me to build like full giant apartment buildings. I guess we have some frame of reference because I have built some fake apartments many times, which I can link videos of down below if you want to see them. But it'll be interesting to see how it goes with like the new apartments because it's different now that they're functional. Like it kind of changes everything. So I'm intrigued to know how it's gonna go. Now on this last house we're doing in the video, this is the yellow one. And this is the one that I sort of decorated to look like someone was actively moving into it. So I put like all the default stuff, like a kitchen, I've got bathrooms, you know, the things that kind of come as fixtures in the house. And then I just put boxes everywhere else. So it would sort of be how it would be if you were actively moving in. And I thought that was kind of a cute little story. It kind of makes it look like people are actually living here and that you have neighbors, even though in The Sims 4 right now, you do not. There are no neighbors anywhere. This is just a big, giant house. But anyway, we are wrapping up the speed build now. So what I want to do is jump back into the game and show you a quick tour of the fully finished product. And I guess it won't really be that quick because it's like a 5-house build. But I'll show you a tour. How about that? So I built this in San Sequoia on this 40 by 20 lot, which is very conveniently right behind my face cam. But it's this lot right here, and it's one of my favorite lots in the game. It's just really good for community lots because it's sort of surrounded by road on almost all the sides. And then on the gallery, they're called the pastel townhouses. The gallery photo is such a shame because it looks weird. It's like off center, the lighting's bad, but it costs 270,000 simoleons and it uses like a million bajillion packs. And for that, I'm really, really sorry. I swear I'll do some limited packs, like base game only apartments with the new pack, I promise. But this one is not that. It is not even close to being that. And this is what the fully finished build looks like on the exterior. So starting with the roof, because it's the most obvious, we've got a couple like little utility type things up there. And one of my favorite parts is this house on the side, this right house. They've got a little bit of a bump out. It's kind of a different shape, and they actually have rooftop access. So if you wanted to play here, you could give them like some stuff on the roof because I put a ladder up to it. This is what I mean by bad lighting. It's like always in the shade, no matter what time of day. It's such a shame. But over here on the pink house, you can kind of see the trellis that I was putting here so it looks like the teen can escape. And they've got a little bike set up for like grandma and the kid. They've got a flamingo and some cute pink flowers. Next door, the orange house is kind of like gnome themed. They have some gnomes in the front yard and some chairs with lemonade. This blue house, I was picturing being dog owners. So they have a dog welcome mat. The greenhouse, shockingly, has plants here in the front yard. And then the yellow house has a little bike and also a little gnome. So I tried to make them all look quite different from the exterior with different flower boxes and landscaping and stuff. And then starting in the pink house, this is the grandma house. So they walk straight into this little living room. We've got like a knitting basket and a cute fireplace area for you to sit. And then you can come around the back and we've got a tiny little desk setup and a small dining room and kitchen area. I picture grandma likes to bake too, so she's got a stand mixer. And they've got a little tiny bathroom down here. And then if you go upstairs, we've got the kids' room, which is kind of like unicorn unicorn themed. That was the vibe that I was going for. We have a shocking amount of unicorn stuff in this game. There's like unicorn, 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 unicorn. It's everywhere. And then they have a small bathroom shared by everybody, and then grandma's bedroom in here with grandpa, who is super dead. And then all the way in the basement staircase is actually stacked with the stairs right here, so you can access it from this side. In the basement, we've got a small little laundry section, and then also the teens' bedroom. So I made it kind of messy, and it's kind of lit up cool. It's got like a spider web wall and some purple LED lights. And in their backyard, I put a grill and like a small table to sit out here. This is also where the mailbox goes, because I didn't want to put mailboxes on the wall because they didn't really fit that well. So I just put one mailbox down the side. So technically all the Sims will share this, but when the pack comes out, we can like edit that to be a multi-family mailbox or something. And then in the next house, the gnome house, when you first walk in, it's a very small entryway staircase. And to the right, we go straight into the dining room and very, very tiny kitchen. It's only 4 tiles wide, so there isn't a lot of space. And then back here, we've got a small sitting room, and then we have a little office area with some stuff for a cat. They've got a bathroom down here as well. And then when you go upstairs, they've got a very tiny hallway. I put a bonsai tree so you can do some skill building. They have one bigger bathroom up here, and then one primary bedroom. They also have a little closet, which is kind of cool. So these Sims are like artists with a cat, basically. And then in their basement, they have that really cool living area with like the popcorn kitchenette area. We've got the big movie setup and some cat stuff down here too. I also put some cat stuff on their little patio. I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of like a little catio out here. They even have catnip growing in this area. And in their backyard, they've got a hot tub. So they've got kind of a nice setup back here. The next house, the blue one, is empty, believe it or not. The middle one, I'm sort of picturing as being still available for rent. So nobody lives in here, but it's got a similar layout, sort of. I kind of picture that this would be a dining room. They've got like a kitchen and a small living area. Upstairs, there's one bedroom and one bathroom. And then in the basement, we've got what I was kind of picturing to be a second living room and a second bathroom. And theirs is shockingly all blue on the inside. And then to the right, again, this build I cut out from the video, but this is the greenhouse. Theirs is kind of plant themed. So when you first walk in, it's kind of like one big open floor plan. We've got a little entryway right here, and then it takes you to a big living room with a big TV. This is probably the most functional and easy to use because it's so open and not as tight as some of the others. They've got a dining room and a cute kitchen back here, again, all green. And upstairs, they've got 2 bedrooms. There's like a little office in the hallway, a tiny toddler's room, which is kind of like ladybug plant themed, and then the primary bedroom, which is also plant themed. They have like a leaf bed. And in their basement, they have like a really cool nectar cellar thing going on. So in the basement, there's a little bar area. It's kind of like another kitchenette, and they've got a bar and then also a place to grow and store nectar. Grow nectar is wrong. Sorry, make and store nectar. You don't grow it, you make it. But they've got like a nectar room down here. And they also have like a little flower arranging table because I figured that these Sims were big into gardening. They have a lot of gardening stuff back here in their backyard too, so I was just trying to really emphasize that on the inside. And then on the far right house, this one's actually the biggest because it's got a tiny addition down here. You walk straight into the living room, and then we have like a kitchen dining combo. The kitchen is all here already for you, but the rest is more up to you because it's got the boxes in it. And then upstairs, we have 2 more bedrooms still actively being moved into. We've got a small bathroom, and in the basement, they've got a 3rd room. It's kind of multi-purpose. I kind of pictured myself making this into like a guest room space or like maybe an office, but they also have a big bathroom and some laundry down here. So they've got a lot going on in all these houses. I had a lot of fun building this. It took me forever, but it was well worth it because it is so cute. Hopefully you enjoyed it too. Let me know in the comments, how excited are you for this pack to come out? I think as soon as it releases, I'm probably gonna edit this to work as a functional townhouse for you. Hopefully it will be editable. I don't know if it's gonna function right because we don't know how they're gonna work, but fingers crossed. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry for rambling so much. And on that note, I will go and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Okay? Bye everybody. Oh my god, I have now spent like 10 hours total if I count the recording of this part working on this build. That's such a long time. It was worth it, and hopefully you like it.